We're live, we're live, we are live, we are live, we are live. I am so glad it is Wednesday, baby. It is Wednesday, Wednesday, and we are here and
Evaluation day.
Yes, it's evaluation day, and we have a topic today.
Good topic.
Today is mindset.
Your thoughts are things. First chapter in Think and Grow Rich.
Thoughts become things. Let's
Thoughts are things.
talk about it. We'll be right back.
Good morning, my name is Brian McNeill.
And I am Lisa Santiago McNeill.
And thank you for joining us on our show, Let's Talk About It. We come to each Monday through Friday right here on the SIBN network, on iHeartRadio, YouTube, TuneIn, as well as Facebook Live. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, like. Good morning, like. Oh, we're so glad that you decided to hang with us this morning. It is Wednesday, evaluation day. And one of the things we want to talk about for our topic is mindset.
Your thoughts are actual things.
Your thoughts are actual things.
So much of our lives, man. There's so many great stories, and I'm going to try to not tell 10 stories today. Okay? Not going to do it. But the things that we think about, we bring about. The things that we think about most of the time, we move towards.
Say that again, though. The things that we think about, we bring about. I want you to kind of get that into your spirit, because oftentimes we think of that in terms of attracting negative. But the truth of the matter is that it works both ways.
Your thoughts are willing servants. They are willing servants. They don't care where you choose to dwell on. Nope. Choose to dwell on. They'll return to you whatever your current dominant thoughts were. When I first got a hold of that concept was when I started really, really reading Think and Grow Rich. And I read it again, then I read it again, right behind each other. And that whole thought about you move towards your current dominant thoughts just started to resonate with me. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that when I was worried about my bills, I got more bills or more trouble with bills or behind in my bills.
Right.
When I kept holding the thought about worrying about them,
as opposed to focusing on
earning,
as opposed to focusing on what you can build and grow or what you can do to impact that thing that you have. Like, I have the ability to manifest. I have the ability to create. I have the ability to resolve. I have the ability to thinking in terms of all of the powers that you have as opposed to any of the things that you lack. Good morning, Glenda. Thank you for joining us.
When I look back at some of the thoughts and some of the things I used to worry about, I think, oh, Brian, you were being so foolish.
And frivolous with your time.
Mm-hmm.
Frivolous with your time. And I'm not talking about the time that you spent in your life. I'm talking about the time that you spent worrying. Mm-hmm. Hey, Beverly, good morning. Good morning. How does day 2 feel of your freedom mission and your transition? Mindset is something that I think I shared yesterday. I have a tendency to realize its value, and then I suddenly begin at some point or another to take it for granted. Almost to the extent where I know the power of this. I know the strength in this. I know what it can do. I know what I am capable of doing with my mind, spirit, energy, whatever you want to call it, right? But then suddenly get to a place where either I overlook that, maybe lull myself into a place of it'll just happen naturally. Sometimes when you're floating on your momentum, when you're above your objective, when you're floating on it, sometimes you forget to crank the engine. Sometimes you forget to crank the engine.
Or do that, add the fuel that it needs, like by focusing on what you want versus what you don't.
Beverly says, I have to work in 15 years with the same company, third shift, and then working most of my 40 years working third shift. I couldn't sleep last night. I was excited. Oh, you've been a third shift mentality for all of these years.
And your body knows this.
Yes.
Your body knows this.
Now it's a new shift.
We have a friend named Johnny Davis, and Johnny literally died for like 8 minutes or something like that. He had sudden cardiac arrest, and it was in his sleep. And had his wife not been there, he wouldn't be here today. But anyway, he wrote a book about comebacks. But he also has a Facebook group called The Winner Circle. And I spent a lot of time on The Winner Circle this morning, liking things. And it seems like his overriding theme about the company you keep, the things that you think about. And he has all these quotes by Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Elon Musk and the guy from Apple. I can't always forget his name, Steve Jobs. He's got all these quotes from these people about the company you keep and the thoughts that they carry. He's infusing himself and infusing his group with these great thoughts. The company you keep being around, the things you choose to infuse yourself with, things you choose to take on are going to greatly impact where you go in your life and the things that happen to you.
It is so imperative.
Good morning, Dr. Deborah. Good morning, Sister Jacqueline.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Deborah. Dr. Deborah, I tuned in on last night. I love the gratitude experiment, or the expressions of gratitude for pulling oneself out of a feeling of funk. I actually started that July 1st with Making Miracles Again in 40 days and began once again the gratitude experiment and consistently expressing gratitude each day in a litany for things that I am grateful for. And it does impact your trajectory, your mood, and your mindset.
That's what we're talking today. We're talking mindsets, but the title of today's topic is Thoughts Are Things. Thoughts are things. And it's so appropriate on a Wednesday to do this talk, actually. One reason why it's appropriate is because of what goes on every Wednesday evening. In my room, in the Clubhouse room called Selling Your Services Room. But on Wednesdays, we focus on the mindsets and motivations of today's entrepreneurs. And I've got a great dais. I've been so blessed with the daises that I've assembled. I've got people that focus on speaking about mindset and people that have lived amazing lives on tonight. So we want to talk about thoughts of things. There's so many stories rushing to me right now about examples of how thoughts are things.
And when we deal with the things that we think about, when we first of all, it's important to acknowledge what you're thinking about. I did an exercise, I think it was yesterday. I did an exercise in an attempt to see if my brain could do more than one thing at a time.
Oh, my goodness.
I have a tendency my mind has a tendency to latch on to something, even when it's not necessarily where it needs to be. And so I find myself oftentimes transplanting a thought with another thought. I'll turn on a podcast. I will turn on an audio book. I will turn on a background television show or something to transplant the thought that is in my mind, especially if it's not a productive thought. And what I have found is that doesn't always do it.
Okay.
That thought is often there. I can almost feel it literally saying, yeah, but come back to the front. Yeah, but whether I agree with what I'm listening to or not, whether or not I am engaged in what I am listening to or not. And I have found that the one thing that can really overtake a thought, particularly if it is a thought that is not working for me, is the sound of my own voice speaking to that thought.
Okay.
Beverly says, I need to apologize to Jacqueline.
I read that.
I'm not sure if you're used to be calling Jackie or if you'd rather be called Jacqueline. I didn't ask, but I will apologize if you don't like Jackie of what I called you yesterday. So I apologize. I didn't mean any offense. No offense given or the wrong. I love your name, Jacqueline, especially the way those two say it. We love it. She has not ever mentioned it. I don't know.
She's probably been called Jackie once or twice in her life already.
Yes, but I love Jacqueline. Or Jacqueline. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Melissa. Good morning, Lynette. Lynette, I'm glad you're here. We're talking about mindsets, and we're also talking about how thoughts are things. The things we think about, we move towards the current dominant thought that you carry.
Absolutely.
Whatever your current dominant thought is.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get this book finished.
Yes.
Your current dominant thought you move towards, because you have lots of thoughts. Absolutely. But you do have a dominant thought.
And that's why the thoughts.
Good morning, Brother Kelly.
Good morning, Kelly. Kelly and Kelly and I are excited because we were able to help a new author to get birthed. He is reviewing his proof copy, and I am so excited about it.
His name is Rajon Jones Sr. And Kelly, he was in the men's group last night. And
awesome.
And he got a lot out of it, man. He was fully engaged. He was in the men's group last night, and he was so appreciative of being there.
He reached out to me this morning. So I know that to be true. I'm excited about that. He as well. His book, Black Boys to Men, A Journey for Black Boys to Manhood. And we are excited about the release of that book. And we will be having him on the show soon for you all to meet him and to be able to learn more about his book and about the purpose behind it. Okay. Absolutely. And Jacqueline says, I surround myself with positive, healthy, uplifting words and phrases all over my home. And every time I see and read them, they feed my mind. And this is how I keep my thoughts where I want and need them to be.
Good idea. Back on Lisa's point, the sound of her own voice, recording the thoughts that she wants to carry and just choosing to play it when she needs to. That's an amazing way to control your thoughts. There's two more that came to my mind. One is to write them out. That always works because it's involving more senses.
Absolutely.
Tactile and touch and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But the other one, baby,
that
came to mind, is when you're having challenges, not just you, but anyone else having challenges holding on to the thoughts that you want to carry, and you find the negative stuff keep coming up and because it's very persistent, those negative thoughts.
Yeah, they are persistent little buggers.
They're very little persistent little buggers. But you too need a cheerleader. That was the other thought. You need a cheerleader to help you to have a better thought or a more dominant thought. And the blessed are the ones who have the cheerleaders in their lives that will cheer them on, that will remind them of their good, that will remind them of how they see them. Man, I just see you so awesome. I just think you're beautiful. I think you're great. I think you got so much going on. I can't wait to see you as you fully become you.
Absolutely. I do. I write things down. I have hundreds of notebooks, hundreds of journals, hundreds of special pens that I write with.
Hundreds that she's written in over time, not all at the same time.
No, I write in them. I have different books with different thoughts and for different purposes.
You don't write in 100 books at a time.
No, not literally.
Right.
Not literally, but over time, I'm sure it's been over 100.
Lisa and I both have kept. I use spiral notebooks to write stuff down and I thoughts. Too. And I have boxes of them that I've had over the years, and every now and then it tickles me. I will reach down in one of those boxes and grab a spiral notebook from way back and pull it out and start flipping the pages and think about what was this kid thinking about when he wrote this. And some of the time, baby, I learn new lessons from stuff that I actually wrote.
Yes, absolutely. Beverly says, my best thing is to write down things, even those negative things. I write them down and find out why they are there. And I give them an invitation to the door. But the secret to writing things down is to getting stuff out of your head so that you can have more room for stuff to get in there.
I've seen that done in the seminar before, Beverly. This gentleman had people write down the worst thought that they consistently hold on to. And he explained it better than I am, right? And he had everybody write it down. And then he had everybody tear it out the book. And he had everybody crumble it up into a ball and throw it towards the front of the room. It was just a really, really vivid example.
It's an empowering exercise. It really is.
Throw it away.
It really is. The destruction of something that plagues you is a really powerful exercise. We do it at the retreats with
people
the fire.
Were laughing and people were happy to do it. I was there. So it was just fun.
Dr. Deborah says, Lisa, I actually like that idea of hearing your own voice for interrupting a thought pattern. Absolutely. Jacqueline to Beverly says, Beverly, we're good. Jacqueline is my preference. However, Jackie celebrates my childhood. I would imagine that Jacqueline would probably be a big name for a little girl, but I like both.
Imagine 8-year-old Jacqueline. It's Jackie.
I like it. Jacqueline, comment ça va? Ça va bien.
Lisa has been on her Spanish app all the time because she's warmed. She's getting warmer to the idea that we're going to be in Puerto Rico.
Yes, but actually
this time next year.
Yes, and actually that what I just did there was actually French and not Spanish.
Okay, that's fine.
But yes.
But you have been on your Spanish app a lot.
Been.
Who would do such a thing? She has it in mind, okay, we're going to move to Puerto Rico. Okay, so what does she do? This is July. You don't have to start studying Spanish until you get there, right? Not my baby. Oh, no. She's having fun. In the car, on the chair, on the couch, in the bedroom, on the bed. She's playing it. She's listening to it. She's reciting stuff back. She's getting it right because she's going to have a level of proficiency by the time we get there. That is a champion. Only a champion would do that kind of thing. Only a champion would do that kind of work and enjoy the work. Oh, that thought. Enjoy the price you must pay.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy the price you must pay. Oh, that thought sings.
Yesterday evening, Brian had Male Empowerment Networks on yesterday. I haven't quite gotten up to twice a month with Women Empowerment Networks. I've got some other projects that are sort of consuming my time. So didn't. Good morning, Glenda. Thank you.
Good morning, Glenda.
I had a journal/diary in high school and college. Love going down memory lane.
Yes.
It is great to go back down through those journals. Absolutely. And the things that we thought were so urgent and so life-threatening and life-changing, only to, be then mature to see this too shall pass. But what I was going to say is Brian spent some additional time yesterday in after Male Empowerment Networks. He spent some additional time with basketball. You watching basketball?
I watched the game last night and an Asylum Pandemonium.
Oh, that's the big one. You did it?
Yes, it was perfect. The game was amazing. I had one of these big old cigars and I've been waiting to start it. I lit my cigar at 9:11. Okay. And it didn't go out until 11:36 or something like that when the game ended. Where it ended right when the game ended. It was perfect timing. It was a great stick. It was a very entertaining game. I was in my glory. But go ahead.
Absolutely. Kelly says, I often record anything that comes up for me and then listen to it to dissect why that thought shows up
on your phone
for me to find the lesson. Absolutely. So I can embrace the challenge and repurpose the thought. Absolutely. That's right, Glenda. The game was on. Jacqueline says, Lisa, you recently shared that using one's hands help control and stimulate the mind, something like that. I agree. The days that my health is challenging, I usually find something to do with my hands and it shifts my focus and thoughts. Within minutes, I feel so much better later. Absolutely. When I believe that when we have idle thoughts that are overwhelming and we have already spoken to those thoughts and sent them away and tried to make them go or whatever, and it doesn't seem to move, engage another sense. And I have found that engaging my hands is actually another sense that really, really works. I mentioned that at Women's Empowerment Networks on last Tuesday. When I engage my hands in something creative, whether it's sewing or painting or drawing or even just fiddling with something deliberately, it helps me to redirect my mind. First, to distract it into something that it has to engage in. My mind has to be engaged in what my hands are doing, and then to redirect it, moving to create something beautiful, to create something of love and light or intention. That was all it was, sweetheart.
All right.
Anyway. I turned the volume off, but not the vibration.
D&D. But anyway, there's so much we could do. Also, if you think about reaching out to someone else and helping someone else, you take your mind totally off your own problems when you help someone else with theirs. You know, when you do something for other people, which is another thing someone hit me with. 4 things that I want to do in my business with. But one is one dude asked me a question seriously, and I had to apologize because I didn't have a good answer. But he says, Brian, do you have a mentee? Do you have anybody that you're mentoring specifically on what you do? Oh, I don't.
You've had several young men ask to be a mentee, but they are not necessarily consistent in that.
I think it's partially me.
Beverly says, I use music, and the first song I go to is Bravo by Lettucey. It's a beautiful song and an encouraging song for you to clap for yourself, give yourself a round of applause.
That's a great idea. My ringtone, and it's been that way since 2017, my ringtone is applause. Whenever my phone rings, it's applause. I get applause every time someone calls me. Okay? My thing. This room is hotter than the whole house.
No, it's not.
It is.
You are. You just want to take your shirt off.
I don't want to take my shirt off. I'm going to go get mine.
So how then, or I guess the topic of today is mindset, thoughts become things. So first step to that is evaluating your thoughts. Are they supporting you? Are your current thoughts supporting you, or are they distracting you?
Is it a thought that you want? In the classic book, Think and Grow Rich, the first story he tells is Mr. Edward Barnes. Edward Barnes was a hobo, basically. His life didn't work. And he hears about Thomas Edison inventing things. And he gets excited about what Mr. Edison is doing. And he makes up in his mind, I want to be Thomas Edison's business partner. That's what I want to do. I want to be his business partner. So he travels to New Jersey where Edison was and shows up at his door in his tattered, ragged clothes and trying to put himself, I'm coming here to work for you, Mr. Edison. I want to be in business with you. And they found him a job as an apprentice or something, a menial job in the company. But he still kept that thought. I want to be in business with Mr. Edison. I don't want to just work for him. I want to be in business with him. And he was there for a year or so, just working in a company, but he wanted to be in business with him. And then they had this invention, this dictograph, this thing that you could talk and it'll actually write it down what you was talking about. And the other salesmen in the company were not excited about it. They weren't excited about it. No one's going to do that. And Mr. Barnes enthusiastically said, I'll sell it for you. I'll sell it for you. Finally, since none of them wanted to do it, he let them do it. And Mr. Barnes made a gabillion with those things, okay? And he actually became his business partner. Thoughts become things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Beverly says, you have all of us as mentees. Kelly says, I know people who consider Brian a mentor. It may not be formal, but he guides, informs, and listens, and they appreciate him. Amen. Good morning, Brenda.
And thank you for saying that, Kelly. Praise God for this. Last night I got some flowers while I was alive. The men in the circle last night were very appreciative of me. It started with Brother Lawrence McNair, and then the others. They were appreciative of me, and they were saying things, and they was talking about my aura, the way I carry myself, the way I've carried myself for years, the way they've seen me operate for years. That's why. And it was really, really interesting to me the way they did it, but it felt good to hear, and I'm appreciative of it.
Amen. Amen.
So I did get some flowers.
Amen. Beverly said, Lisa, my thoughts are a little of both. They're encouraging ones and the distracting ones that distract me from doing what I'm not supposed to be doing so that I can do what I'm supposed to be doing. It goes both ways with me. It sounds confusing, but you know how I am. Well,
a little bit. Good morning, Dr. Brenda.
Good morning, Brenda. Thank you for joining this morning.
Good morning, Pastor
George.
Pastor George, we got to get you a jam, man.
He says James Allen has a short read, As a Man Thinketh.
Yes,
absolutely.
Another one of those essential reads. The book is this thick. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's probably 20 pages, if that. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It's an essential read. You have to read these books, man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that we get to choose them. We have sort of in some ways there are some thoughts that we just allow. We just allow them. We've grown used to them. You can't do this. You shouldn't do that. I think that it is important to evaluate the thoughts that come to determine whether or not they are true or beliefs.
I feel a workshop coming on. I feel a joint workshop that Lisa and I putting on a workshop, how to convert your thoughts into things. How about that? How to convert your thoughts into things. Woo! That'll be a blast. That's one thing we're going to do in the Caribbean, y'all. We are going to have destination retreats, destination workshop retreats, where people come and take a weekend long or a week long or whatever it is long workshops on different things that we do. I can't wait. Baby. See, I'm already putting myself there, what I'm going to do there. We're going to do destination retreats. So today's topic is we're talking mindsets, the way we think, our current dominant thought, and we titled the show, Thoughts Are Things. What say you, Pastor George? What do you think about when someone says to you, thoughts are things, and what we think about, we bring about? What say you, Sister Glenda? What say you, Brenda Booker Bull? Brenda Booker Bull, you're in an industry where all of your clients have a dream of either buying or selling. They all have a current dominant thought. Everyone that you get to work with, their thought is moving towards that desired goal to either get the home or sell the home. So I want to hear your thoughts on how do you feel about how you use or how do you capitalize on the fact that thoughts become things? Dr. Deborah says a destination retreat sounds wonderful. You're going to, Dr. Deborah, because you're going to be there doing some of them. You're going to be doing at least part of some of them. We got to keep our peeps. Now, we'll put Dr. Deborah to work in the Caribbean. How about that?
I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to all of those things. And I have been going back and forth. There's actually a retreat that I have been considering going on myself, but I don't necessarily. I don't know necessarily if I am going to do it. I've been going back and forth and just still I'm not sure.
You better hurry up because she's limiting how many people can go with her. So you better hurry up.
Really?
Inside. Yes.
I don't ever believe that.
You don't believe when people say they're limiting that?
No, I don't.
Well, what if she prepared to teach 25 people and 100 want to come?
Then either I will be the one of the 25 or I won't. Supposed to be there. I will get what I need.
Okay.
If that's what I need.
Is that Glenda Tate Williams? Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? She also says our retreat workshop sounds great. It's going to be a part of our lives. Again, I don't think Lisa and I will ever retire. Okay. I mean, in our 80s, God willing, we'll still be telling stories, writing books, talking to people, because that's what we do. I posted this morning. It's impossible to be great at anything unless you love it. And that's a quote from Steve Jobs. You got to do the stuff that you love.
Pastor George goes on to say, I think it's also important to keep your pineal gland healthy to focus and to direct your thoughts. Where is your pineal gland?
In your brain.
Is it okay. Dr. Deborah says thoughts definitely have power.
Which means continue to learn. Okay. And you do that with your word games. You keeping yourself exercised with your word games.
Dr. Deborah says thoughts definitely have power. If you give something enough of your attention, you can cause things to move in that direction.
Yes, yes, and yes. They have power. And whatever your current dominant thoughts are, you definitely move in that direction. I had back in 2006, when I first came to Charlotte, North Carolina, marriage had ended. I had a nice car. Well, I thought it was nice. It looked nice. It was a Chrysler Concorde LXI.
Big old pimp daddy car.
It was a pimp daddy car, but smooth. It was white.
All of his big old cars have always been big old pimp daddy cars.
Hey, Pastor George, tell him about a Chrysler Concorde LXI. That's what I had.
Good morning,
it was
Brittany.
white with gold lettering trimming and on it, all that stuff. and it was about to be repoed. So what I was doing was I was hiding the car, okay? And I was thinking of clever ways to hide the car, whose garage, and all that stuff until I found my money. And that's what I did. I kept the car hidden until I raised the money and so they couldn't come take it. But I really believe I was causing them to come and get my car by worrying about them repoing my car.
Mm-mm-mm. Good morning, Brittany. Beverly says, yes, Lisa, and also with your Spanish. Absolutely. So incidentally, the Spanish that I'm taking, anybody can take it. It's a free course and it is amazing. If you want the link, I will send it to you. It's
an app, right?
It's an app. It definitely builds upon itself. It's a really, really good way to review what you already know and to learn more in a way that it becomes integrated, almost like a natural way of learning a language. Dr. Deborah says what we have to be aware of is that it also works in the negative. Absolutely. We talked about that Monday.
Worrying
as well
and
as
fretting.
today.
Yeah.
That is using your imagination against you.
It's fertile ground. Okay. Very fertile ground. They don't care what you plant. Whatever you plant is going to grow. Okay. I can't remember who said it, but someone said that the mind is the most fertile field there is.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in that app, just let me know. I'll send you an invitation to it. It really is good. I've enjoyed it. I started out at level 1 because a lot of as a New Yorker, my Spanish was a combination of English and Spanish. And so I wanted to learn from the beginning what was the proper way of speaking Spanish. So I'm glad that I did it that way, as opposed to going ahead and starting at step 3 or whatever and making assumptions. I went through from the beginning.
And what level are we on now?
2.
Level 2.
It's only been a week.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Beverly says yes, please, to something.
The Duolingo.
Okay, yes. Oh, to send it a link.
Yeah,
send it a link.
I'll send it
Think Big Thoughts. Another classic book, The Magic of Thinking Big.
Absolutely.
By David Schwartz. Now, The Magic of Thinking Big, a lot of other books quote The Magic of Thinking Big. If you decide to pick up that book, don't let it throw you, but it does use big words, and it is written in for someone that's intelligent. Okay. But I love that book, The Magic of Thinking Big. And even better, it's on audiobook for free. It's on audiobook for free on YouTube. You just pull up The Magic of Thinking Big. It's like a 3-hour version. Just put it on while you're doing stuff.
I like that. I do like that. Jacqueline says, my thoughts are so important. That is why being able to connect to the empowerment duo is critical. Thank you. Many of us have heard that what we focus on gets bigger. Love focusing on the empowerment duo. After my time with God, every day, my body, soul, mind, and spirit are well fed. Once again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Jacqueline. If you don't know why I say it like that, it's from the movie Boomerang. And when Grace Jones is at the restaurant with Marcus, Eddie Murphy's character, and she's trying to get some from him. And he's like, what are you doing? Get off me. She's like reaching under the table. Get off me. And she goes, well, according to Jacqueline, you know how to move your ass. According to Jacqueline.
Anyway, thank you, George. Thank you.
I like the scene.
I do. I thank you for putting a name to that, because I definitely believe it's true. He says your pineal gland is your antenna to the universe. People often find it strange when they think of someone and the phone rings, and it's that person. You made that happen. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Beverly says, yes, Jacqueline, I agree, because when they was gone for a week, I was discombobulated.
You're killing me. Oh, really?
Well, we're glad that we're back. I think I was discombobulated as well.
You know what, Dr. Beverly? I thought when we were gone for a week, that everyone would just fill the time with something else. That's all. They'll fill the time with something else. They'll be fine.
I actually missed this structure.
Well, we missed it too. Yep. I feel like y'all would just fill the time.
So absolutely. So we're
Jacqueline found it funny.
According to Jacqueline.
I love you back, my sister.
This has been on my desk. This is actually
100 years.
No, not 100 years. So this is a character from the Ice Cream Man. And I have been sitting here and I cut them out. I cut all the characters out because when I am working on a project, I like to have it sort of surrounding me. And I've gotten rid of everything else except for this one. And it makes me think of this this game that we used to have when I was coming up, but I can't remember the name of it. Maybe Jacqueline or Beverly can remember it. We had cutouts for clothes that we could put on the dolls, and they would stand up, and then you would put the cutouts on them. And I think that that's what continues to come to my mind, to give children a chance to repurpose the book. I think I'm going to talk to Monica, Future Leaders LLC, Monica Allison, Future Leaders LLC in Philadelphia. And see if that's something she might want to explore.
Dr. Beverly says, I did feel the time was something else. I went back and had to look at some shenanigans that was on the show.
Some previously recorded shenanigans. Okay.
She probably knows where to find them too.
Okay, I get it. You remember that, right, right, Jacqueline? I don't remember what we used to call them. Color forms.
That sounds about right, actually.
Maybe.
Where you had to cut out clothes and just put them on and
put them on. Yeah. So anyway, I thought about this.
Man, our toys were so corny back
in
there.
Conjunction with your rhino. Imagine if this was mounted on something as solid as a piece of plywood with a base that would allow it to stand up, so that they could then play with their toys and take them to the store or take them to another room.
Play with toys anymore?
I think they do up to about 4 or 3 or 4 or 5. And I also believe that what we're finding now as a potential gap with all of the children that have different needs, they're differently able, is that tactile play, that tangible tactile play is actually very therapeutic.
Better than the video game?
Well, I wouldn't say better than, because there's a space. There's a space for both. I have recently seen some advertisements for these paper dolls. Yeah, I think they were called paper dolls as well. The advertisements for these subscriptions for wooden toys.
Okay.
That they send you out. Where they have the blocks that they can beat into the thing. And every month you get a different type of tactile wooden toy for your child from a developmental standpoint that's supposed to aid with. And I think definitely, I'm not saying anything against the electronic toys, because I think that they've definitely opened up the abilities in so many different things. But I think that there's something that has to do with imagination that the tactile toys can actually really enhance.
Brother Mark Greer, if you can control your mind, you can control your life. Outside of faith, the mind is the most powerful force on earth when it is used properly. It is the most destructive force on earth when it is not. W. Clement Stone made $1 billion in the insurance industry, and he was the first one really to make that much money selling insurance. And he founded the Combine Life Insurance Company in the 50s, and the whole nation had Combine insurance, okay? But he owes his success to an event that he saw when he was a child. Now, again, he built this $1 billion industry in the 50s, but when he was a child, was probably the 30s, okay, in this country. And in the 30s of this country, it wasn't, the black people, we were still under the Jim Crow laws, black codes, and all that kind of stuff. His uncle, he was in a barn one time with his uncle assembling barrels. They have long wooden staves and metal rings to make the barrels. That's what they were doing. They were building barrels. And a little black girl who was a sharecropper on his uncle's property came into the barn and stood near the door. And at first they didn't notice her. They was making the barrels. And then his uncle looks up and sees that little girl, and he says, "What do you want?" He goes, "My mammy said send her 50 cents. He goes, "I'm not giving her anything. Get out of here." She goes, "Yes, sir," but she doesn't move. She stays right there. She goes, "Yes, sir." It stays right there. And he notices her still there. "Didn't I tell you? So my mammy gotta have that 50 cents. I said I'm not. Now get out of here." He goes, "Yes, sir," but she didn't leave. And finally, the uncle picks up one of those wooden staves and heads toward that child. And W. Clement Stone was a child himself. He thought he was about to witness an assault. He was steeled against it because he saw his uncle waving it and coming at that child. and that child stood there. And when his uncle got close to that child, about to raise up, that child stepped forward and screamed, "My mammy's got to have 50 cents." And the uncle like shook, dropped the stave, went in his pocket, took out the 50 cents, handed it to the little girl. And the little girl took the money and backed away because she knows she was in danger. She backed away, never taking her eyes off of him, got to the door and ran out. And W. Clement Stone often thought of that moment about how did that little child conquer his uncle? And he made a resolve in his business. He was not going to quit just because somebody said no. He was going to keep on going. He always used that example. When someone says no, I remember that little girl. I just keep going no matter what they say because I got to have it. That's a story that carried for him. Maybe some of that will work for you.
That actually began to make me think again about that shrimp and that octopus.
Again? Oh, yeah, 2 days?
Made me think about that shrimp and that octopus. And I think when we get to the place where there is no going back, I often think that has been a pervasive support system of mine. Whether, so often we talk about limiting beliefs. Sometimes the opposite is also true. There was no other way. There was no way backwards. We were asked on Sir Charles' show, his daughter, Kay Fitt, said, how did you keep going? And, how do we feel about safety nets? Or how do we feel about entrepreneurship?
Oh,
entrepreneurship.
We were unanimous in our response to that question. Go ahead.
Entrepreneurship for me was the same as survival. Entrepreneurship and survival had the same definition to me. There were points in my life where getting a job was simply not going to suffice. And when I came to the place where I realized that there was something in my mind, in my hand, in my heart, in my abilities that someone else would pay for, it became unanimous that is what you have to do. You have to sell it.
We saw something yesterday, back on thoughts are things. Well, first off, the question that Lisa, K-Fit asked Lisa and I, how do we feel about having a safety net in entrepreneurship? And I'm like, you work without a net. And I like that, working without a net. Every dollar we bring into the house is because we produce something. And Lisa was like, it wasn't so much entrepreneurship, it was a survival. But I thought we were united in our answers to that question. But we saw a documentary yesterday on the foods that built America, and it was the Cola Wars episode, is what we watched. And I was watching how Pepsi and Coke were competing to be number one. They both were multi-billion-dollar corporations, but they still want to be number one. And I thought about it after the show. If I was Pepsi, I'd be like, I'd been cool with where I was. I just made $2 billion. I don't have to be number one. I don't have the mindset of these people that have to be number one, and that I would have been fine. My company's doing great. They could be number one all they want to. We're great where we are. That would have been my mindset. That's why I don't run Pepsi, okay? Because that would have been my mindset on that. I don't have to have that for me to be happy with where my station is. Mm-hmm. But those kind of people do.
Kelly goes on to say, thoughts and images are a critical part of the drivers that influence our elevation or lead to our decline. We choose. Once we realize the power of both, we then become empowered to manifest our thoughts, and the universe graciously obliges. Universal law, the power of life or death are in the tongue, but it begins in the mind.
Now, Absolutely. Back on mindset again, the mind of the entrepreneur. I saw something this morning, and it was talking about before you quit your job. And it was saying stuff like, have 6 months of your expenses saved before you quit your job. And don't even think about quitting your job until your side hustle earns at least twice as much as your full-time job. Now, I just saw a shade cross your face there. Why was that?
Well, in all honesty, if they tell you that you need to save 6 months before you leave your job
of expenses,
trust and believe it will take 8 months before your business actually succeeds. Because unfortunately, what happens when we have 6 months, we will live out that 6 months. You will not have that urgency.
And you need that urgency.
That urgency is what accelerates your success.
6 months of savings, I think, retard your progress. Okay, because you could be so comfortable, you won't even get serious until 5 months.
4.5, 5 months.
Yeah, you won't even get serious. I think 1 month bills. I got next month covered. And then you got to get your butt out there to work. And then that whole concept, you can't leave your job until your side hustle earns twice as much as your full-time job. I say you can leave your full-time job if your side hustle even earns even close.
Or even at all.
Because if you learn how to make $10, you can learn how to make $100. You can learn how to make $1,000. Come on.
Absolutely.
It's a mindset, way of thinking. I am praising God for having a wife who has a mindset like my own. I don't have to have 6 months saved. I don't have to have twice as much from a side hustle before I move. No, but there's really, really well-intentioned and really, really smart people giving that advice.
Again, those are the chickens. Now, I know that some people
Explain,
feel a little bit
know.
uncomfortable about being a chicken. And I'm not talking about you're chicken, you're afraid. I'm talking about being a chicken in that you want to have a specific small bit of land where you live in. You are specific about what your abilities are. You want to be safe and protected.
You want to be able to scratch and claw.
And a lot of times we have those people in our family that really, really love us and they care a lot about us and they don't want us to take the risks associated with actually flying like an eagle. You're intended to fly. You're intended to be that eagle that soars and hunts and finds its outcome because it was intentional about it. Nothing flies up into the eagle's nest.
Nope.
Nothing.
The food don't come there.
It doesn't come there. There's no Instacart delivery for the eagles. The eagles actually have to go out and hunt
and capture. Sometimes they miss, sometimes they hit. But you know what? We still have eagles. Why? Because they're successful enough. Okay? They can make it happen. You know, this whole, I'm in lockstep with Lisa on that. The people who say stuff like you got to have these 6 months of savings, I know, you know, Mark Cuban from Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
When people say stuff like, I need to have some money from you guys
so that I can live on it.
To live on until my business becomes profitable.
I'm not your grandmother.
Game is over for him. Stop the music. When he hears people trying to live like that,
that's right.
I need a nest egg to live on.
Psych.
To pay my bills?
Not interested.
No way.
Because he don't have enough of the hustle necessary to implement what needs to be done. Dr. Deborah says, I look at my businesses differently now that I no longer have that job salary to depend upon. Absolutely. Absolutely. You look at it differently.
You don't need that job salary. You can replace it. You're better than that.
Jacqueline says, when I prayed and prepared myself for obtaining anything, I always ask the person or persons who tell me no. How do I turn the no into a yes? I've been this way since I was a teen. How I got my first job at 16 at the mall, my first car, my first house after my divorce. I remember that I already prayed and did my due diligence, so I was prepared.
The question is, can I do this?
Can I do this?
Can I do this? And that will bolster you.
Amen. Kelly says, I stepped out on faith. I left when the job didn't align with my values and character. It was affecting my health and emotional wealth. You are the vehicle that allows the business to generate significant change. Work for yourself like you build dynasties and generate millions for others.
Think about all the money you make for somebody else.
Think about it.
I read a quote this morning on Johnny's page from Elon Musk. He says, nobody wants to be on your journey. Nobody wants to be on your this, and nobody wants to do it for you. Mm-hmm. Okay. What? He's right. Oh my gosh.
We have the ability to create the life that we design.
We haven't done songs. It's 9:50. I did want to hear somebody comment. What is your thoughts about the concept of having savings and 2 months this and 6 months that? Before you
enter into entrepreneurship,
full-time entrepreneurship.
So again, I'm very conscientious when I answer that question and when I respond to it. I think that entrepreneurship definitely has its peaks and valleys. I don't take that away from it. But so does your job. You can wake up one day and they can decide your position is no longer necessary. I had a young lady, one of my clients,
or they could reassign you or move you or shift you.
One of my clients who was planning to start her own business in 5 years or whatever. And I'm in my heart and my spirit, I'm like, well, be careful of what you are thinking or what you're sharing, because the universe can bring that to you quicker. And she helped her business to let her go. She helped her job to let her go by continuing to energetically attract her entrepreneurial journey. Now, I think that that's a great thing. But when you're looking at it from the perspective that I need a job in order to maintain stability, I need a job in order to provide for my family, I need a job, fill in the blank, X, Y, and Z, you can create a chaotic current that doesn't necessarily know how to bring you what you want. It is important to affix your energy on a purpose and a goal and allow it to be a singular direction so that you're not fighting against yourself.
Up first is Miss Phyllis Victoria. We're going to thank our consistent contributors.
How you going to do that in 4 minutes, bruh?
We'll give it a shot. We're going to thank our consistent contributors. We're going to thank the people who have been rocking with us for years. First up is Miss Phyllis. Miss Phyllis is here. So clear the way. Miss Phyllis is here. Now we can all have a great day.
And Miss Glenda. Glenda's riding on the freeway in makeup in her pink Cadillac.
Come on, Miss Glenda. Dr. Beverly's here. Dr. Beverly is on the show. Good morning, Dr. Deborah. Dr. Beverly. Dr. Deborah Dunstan is here.
Dr. Deborah, healing and deliverance coach.
So according to Sister Jacqueline Rosier. Come on.
Jacqueline Rosier, pretty little girl that I adore. You're the only one my heart beats for. How I wish that you were mine.
Melissa Price is here.
Bam,
bam, bam, bam, bam, bam, bam, bam, bam, bam, bam, bam. Melissa's song. Now it's time for us to sing her song. Melissa's on. Good morning, Miss Melissa Price.
At this table we sit.
Making it legit. Because when Lynette hits the show, I watched the documentary the other day about Tupac. But Kelly, can't you see? Somehow your words just hypnotize me. That's my man, Kelly Little. Can't do a documentary about Tupac without having Biggie up in it.
I wouldn't think so.
Brenda Booker Bull is here.
It's tricky to buy a home, to sell a home. Don't do it alone. Choose Brenda. Hey.
Choose Brenda. What's up, Brenda? Good morning. Pastor George, we got to come up with a jam. Scroll, baby. We got to come up with your jam, man, because you need one. Brittany Thomas is here.
It's Brittany. Brittany Thomas. It's Brittany. It's show time. It's your time. Yeah.
Did you see Miss Vivian anywhere?
Scroll. Do believe I did.
Linda Tate, did we do her?
Yes, we did it already. I thought we have Mark. Yep.
Mark Greer. So wide you can't get around it. So low you can't get under it. So high you can't get over it. Mark Greer is under a groove. Getting down just for the funk of it. Mark Greer is under a groove. Nothing can stop us now.
Good morning.
So, is that it?
Yes.
We got it done. Basketball season is now over. Milwaukee Bucks, shout out to Milwaukee Bucks. They won the championship. So there's no more basketball and there's no more football. The next thing about basketball is next week, Thursday, the NBA draft. And then the week after that, that's when they start preseason football. So we're in the dog days of sports right now. There's going to be no sports for about 2 weeks. Really.
So wives,
a week and a half, 2 weeks.
You can have your husbands back for 2 weeks. Jacqueline says, depends. I did not have savings when I began my businesses, so my hustle was intense. I had to get up every day and get it done. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, there's something about that intensity that actually makes it happen. We are glad you hung out with us today on this Wednesday.
Lisa, somebody make Lisa, remind Lisa to go live today doing something. I got to go live today doing something. Some kind of a live. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Some kind of a live today.
Well, we love you, and we look forward to seeing you on tomorrow. And it's Wednesday, so you might as well have sex.
Peace.